Go ahead and have Mike kind of talk to us a little bit, kind of bring us up to date on some of the, just kind of quick overview on the changes that were made to this bill. So Mike, would you be happy to do that for?
Mr. Chairman, members of the conference committee, the House Bill 2028, as it left the House, basically fixed a problem. There was a section of the law that had expired, and this basically renewed that section. And it also struck a provision that the provisions of the kids' lifetime combination hunting would expire January the 1st, 2032. The Senate committee amended the bill, and they had the same provisions dealing with the extent of the scope of the bill in terms of the timing, struck the expiration of 2020 and so on. And they also, in the Kansas kids lifetime combination, the current law and the way it left the House, there were two categories, 5 and younger. In the House version was 300, and 6 or 7 years of age was 500. And what the Senate committee did was make that just one category, 15 years of age or younger, and it would be 500. The Senate Committee of the Whole actually reduced the $500 to $400 for the lifetime kids hunting and fishing, and added a Senate Bill 213, which deals with migratory waterfowl and would prohibit non-residents from hunting migratory waterfowl during certain times and periods. So that's, I think, a real general idea of what happened. But the Senate, by adding 213, added a significant change to the bill, and they also provided a little different schedule for kids' lifetime license and the amounts.
Thank you, Mike. So we're going to open this up for discussion right now, and I would actually like to probably start off the discussion a little bit. Unless there's another order that you want to go into here.
We like the bill as it left the Senate. Okay. So if you've got questions of how we improved the bill, I'm glad to explain the improvements.
So the first one I'd kind of like to talk about is the is that 1 to 5 year old range. I just kind of wanted to we discussed and kind of talked about it a little bit. We really kind of like that part in the bill. We just kind of feel like I mean, people that I've talked to as well as myself, we just feel that was just kind of I don't know, it was just kind of a neat part to have in there, kind of a unique part that was just kind of, as a grandfather, a lot of us will buy our grandkids license when they're 2, 3, 4 years old or whatever that is, and not knowing if they'll ever be a hunter or a fisher person or even live in the state. But it was just kind of as a grandpa, that's kind of a cool thing to do. But if we just have one box of group of age groups that nobody's going to do that. Nobody in their right mind would be buying them at 3 years old, 4 years old, or 5 years old. We would all wait till they're 11, go through hunter safety if that's even an option for them if they want to do that, or 11 or 12 or 13 or 14. So at that point, we would know that they're interested, so we wouldn't buy them a license until we knew they were interested and that they're going to be living in the state of Kansas. So, and plus, they have that in their back pocket, so to speak, for almost their entire life. It's almost another incentive for them if they're kind of guessing or kind of wondering where they're going to live or have options of moving from state to state, that maybe it might help give them an incentive to come back to Kansas too. So later on in their adult life. So, but we would actually like to put that back 1 to 5 at the 300 range. and then open it up from 6 to 15. Is that how you had it now? I think it was a 6 to 15 at the 400 range.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you say 1 to 5, it would actually be birth to 5, or?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so 5 and under would be at 300, 6 to 15 would be 400. That's your offer, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me visit with my colleagues. Mr. Chairman, we appreciate the offer of 5 and younger staying at the $300, and 6 to age 15 drops down to 400. It also expands the years because current law is age 6 and 7. So if we understand your offer, which I'm sure we do, we will accept your offer on that portion of 2028.
Moving on, is there any more discussion? Representative Smo?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just wondering, what was the thought process I know that the House Ag Committee was going to pause and look into doing the economic impact study. What was the thought process on the Senate side to jump over that?
I'm sorry, I'm not following the question. So in the Federal and State Affairs Committee on the House side, you said you were going to look at some kind of a study?
I know that the ag, this came out of ag, correct? On the waterfowl part.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
okay.
on the water,
I thought
I'm
we were
sorry, I
still
should have
on-
clarified. On the waterfowl bill that was inserted.
Okay.
What was the thought process of jumping over doing the study and just going directly with this?
We did not have any discussion on doing a study on the non-resident waterfowl portion, which is Senate Bill 213. I don't know if the bill in House Ag was different than our bill. I was correct. I conferred with my colleagues, and we did not have any discussion when we had 213, which is amended into 2028, on any type of a study.
Okay, I will go on record saying that I would prefer if these were two separate bills. One, we're trying to lure new hunters into the lifestyle of being a gamesman and an outdoorsman, and then the other one, we're limiting who can participate in that. So thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I will address that briefly. I understand that there is preference. The Senate passed Senate Bill 213, 38 to 1, and I watched that bill. Didn't know there was a companion bill, which wouldn't have really mattered anyway. But 213 got over to the House too late for a hearing and for being worked, and to protect the Senate position, I amended 213 into 2028, knowing it would keep the topic alive because it is in a House bill. And so that's just a common practice for us to protect our position by we put it into a House bill, you guys have to look at what we have done. So that's the reason for putting it in, was just protect the Senate position because it passed overwhelmingly on our side. And we are moving now to Section 3 and beyond, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Representative Schmo.
Okay, so as far as we're looking at the waterfowl, on the purchase price of the stamps, I do notice that it does increase the resident stamp on waterfowl, is that correct, by $10?
It moves it from $8 to $20.
Okay.
Residents, and from $8 to $100 for non-residents.
Let me talk to my chair for just a moment.
If we may, Mr. Chairman, my vice chair has a question, comment. I don't know which one it is.
Senator Daly.
We can make it either one. I want to go back to the A and B, A being from birth to 5 years old, and then from 6 to 15. When they buy that permit, that lifetime hunting permit, then they would move to Texas. My understanding is when they come back and hunt, they are a Kansas resident.
Yes.
And so that doesn't change any with what we did. Is that my understanding?
That's my understanding, yes, correct.
Okay, I want to make sure that was true. So thank you.
Yeah, and staff, I think they will always jump in and tell us if we're speaking out of turn. That's their responsibility to make me look good.
Yeah, some of us have learned that the hard way. Was there any history behind the raising the cost? Was that just an effort to help slow things down as well, or was there some background into that pricing fee on the in-state residents, or do you recall?
The committee, interestingly, did not have any discussion to speak of on the increase in the migratory waterfowl habitat stamps. As you can see by looking at the bill, it went from a minimum of $8, and then it struck mussel fishing licenses, because currently migratory waterfowl habitat stamps were the same for resident, non-resident. And so that was the way the bill was introduced, and so we didn't have hardly any discussion. So there wasn't any issue that was brought up on the floor on this.
Give me just a minute, please. Chair, just in light of our conversations and kind of going back and forth on this, that we're good with the point in the position that we'll let the rest of that stand, and let the body decide on it, on the rest of it. But we're okay with the rest of it right now.
Okay. We were having a discussion here. Your vice chair had mentioned a study. I don't know what that was or is. Is that something that she could elaborate on at all, or not so much?
So, oh, go ahead. Oh, so what she's referring to is that we spent quite a bit of time, was it last year, talking about this? About doing economic impact studies, and these economic impact studies for things that are potentially have a large fiscal effect on the economy or different areas and different things. So we just we kind of like to do some economic impacts like that, studies, to kind of look at it to see where we're at. That's what she was referring to.
Okay, well, we had some discussion over here. I don't know if we want to put that in. Is that something that's done before changes, or during changes, after?
Yeah, so the economic impact study would help you make your decision on bills. It would help you make your decision on a more accurate fiscal note, so to speak. Economic impact would also bring out other conditions, and it's just a more thorough way to vet things out sometimes. And that's what she was alluding to, if there was actually one done, because we haven't seen one yet. So that's why she was asking. And something like this has the potential to negatively affect different economic retailers as far as gas stations, restaurants, hotels, motels, lodges, I mean, different things like that. So she was wondering if there was an economic impact study that was ever done on it. That's what we're talking about.
Okay. Like I said, we had no discussion on that topic at all. We had the bill, we worked the bill. No committee opposition, no floor opposition.
I understand, and at 38-1 on the floor, right? So, yeah, I get it.
Senator Alley.
So we kind of mentioned.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, Senator Alley had a question or comment.
Thank you. I have been receiving several emails about that, about what is it going to cost, and not just implementing the bill, but what's it going to cost to our towns, and what are the things that, the hotels and motels, like you mentioned. Do we know the number of people that this affects? Do we know how many out-of-state hunters that are coming in? Do we have any type of numbers on that you were talking about in your study?
Yes, we actually do. You had some numbers? About 22,001 out of state. I didn't actually have the numbers. What I had was percentage of residents versus non-resident hunters versus non-resident waterfowl hunters in the state of Kansas. And those numbers, oh, here they got them right here, have been increasing since the early 2000s. Actually, it's been increasing. We were hitting out-of-state licensees versus in-state licensees were there was a pretty big spread. I mean, it was 86 in-state, 14% out-of-state hunters. That was in 2009. And every year that gap gets closer and closer and closer until we hit about 2019, 2020. And then that number, then they crossed. And then the out-of-state hunters are at 51% of the licensees, and the in-state hunters are 49%. And as they keep tracking these numbers, that gap is going the other way now, because out-of-state hunters far outnumber the in-state hunters as far as waterfowl goes. But the numbers through 23 to 24, resident waterfowl. Well, their graph is showing different numbers. The graph is showing different numbers here, but it's right around, looks like around 24,400 on resident, but then on this other number, it's only showing 17,000 on this one. I'm not sure what the difference is here, but on this graph, it clearly shows that the gap is crossed on the number of waterfowls. So, if that helps. We didn't have anything, well, we didn't have a hearing on it, so I wasn't involved in that part of it, so I don't know what came out of that.
We did receive those numbers during the hearing on 213, and I failed to bring my 213 file with me. But yes, we had those numbers where the non-resident exceeded resident currently, but years ago, resident far exceeded non-resident. So we've got a trend going that shows that we're having more and more out-of-staters come in to hunt waterfowl in the state of Kansas, but our numbers on residents are fairly flat. So I do remember that on 213. But.
And actually, just on the tail end of this thing, we would like to entertain a sunset on this as well.
You mean
on the waterfowl on this bill? We'd like to put a sunset on it for sure.
50 years or
how many?
50?
50, 100?
Give me a number.
We're looking more in that. I think that 3-year range does sound pretty good to me. 3 to 5, I'm going to say. Which is 3 years? Yeah, I think it would take at least 3 years to kind of get some sort of numbers from the state as far as the impact of this. So I think 3 years would probably be good. 5 years might be a little better, but I think 3 years on the side of caution.
So your offer is 3 to 5 or 3?
Or 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
We were trying to be open so you can have a little bit of movement around there and discuss it and kind of come up with something. But we would like to see a 3-year. Mr. Chairman, I would like to clarify that last statement just a little bit. When we're talking a 3-year sunset, we are talking just the waterfowl part. Obviously, we're not talking about any of the fee structures that are in that bill, or we're talking about the lifetime hunting license as well. Those expiration dates were struck, but we're literally only talking about the waterfowl stamp hunting part.
Oh, well, that kind of clarifies some things. We thought you didn't like the fees, so you were going to sunset them in 3 years.
So
and we'd have to
this
look
would
at
not
it.
pertain to the fee structure. This is only the waterfowl stamp and hunting, only that section.
Okay, well, maybe that'll shorten our discussion. The consensus is that the 3-year sunset is acceptable to us for the waterfowl portion. but not the licensing fees and,
So even in the waterfowl, we'll have her, we'll have Tamara kind of review that, so she'll summarize up the changes that we just made. But, because we were just discussing that, we're only talking about the days of hunting when it comes to waterfowl. We did that section there where it talks about the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That's all we're talking about is sunsetting. We're not talking about sunsetting the stamp fees or anything, just that one section. But she'll summarize it so we're all clear if you wish.
I appreciate that. That is, we do need clarity to make certain that we're only talking about the non-resident waterfowl hunting, not the fees. Right, okay.
Correct.
Yes.
So let's have her summarize for us real quick, and 'cause I think we're pretty close to there.
Okay. Supervisor Lawrence, if you could help us learn some things.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My understanding of the House's offer currently is to do a 3-year sunset, and that would only apply to Section 3 of the bill, which starts on page 2. It's KSA 32939, which is the provision, as the chairman mentioned, that has to do with the days in which non-residents can hunt migratory waterfowl.
Thank you. That does clarify it. So we would just put at the end of Section 3, something, this section sunsets on a certain date or 3 years from implementation, or how would the wording be?
So that's actually a great question and a point of clarification that we would need to know. So we can either sunset the entire section, so including what is in current law, or just the new provision, subsection B, which is, is that right? Or just the changes made by the bill, subsection G, excuse me.
Our intention is to sunset the changes, just the changes.
Okay, I understand. Vice Chair Alley has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm still going back to the survey or the test. What would happen if we made that a one-year study?
There's nothing stopping us from putting an economic study in there.
And then you.
Other than, I mean, it will be a fiscal note attached to that.
Take a look at it after the one-year study to see what the economic impact was, see what it really did to that, and then we can decide whether this is something we want to move forward with. Would that be something that would be considerable?
By the way, that's not an offer from the Senate. He's just asking a question.
Absolutely. We've often done that. We've often, in a lot of our bills that we work, we put things in there to, departments have to come back to us by January or something with a study on what it is that we've changed. I mean, we do that all the time.
Senator Alley has a question. I don't know if it would be for you, Mr. Chairman, or for staff.
When is the waterfowl season that we're talking about?
Waterfowl season typically starts, depends on the section of the state you're in and so on, but sometime in October and can run through, I think, February or March in some sections for geese. We can find the specific statute here in a second.
And the license, Mr. Heim, expires, or the duck stamp expires every June 30th, is that correct?
I buy one every year, and it's good for 2025, and if I bought it in 2024, which I did, it's good for the season that bleeds over into 2025.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think we kind of formulated what we'd actually like to see, and my ranking over here was like, it's actually kind of been bugging him a little bit anyway, so he'd really like to see kind of a study done on this. I don't know if I'd necessarily call it an economic impact study, but we would want them to conduct a study that would show positives, negatives of what the outcomes that they found and what they've noticed with this change. So we would like to actually give them a little bit more than a year to get all that put together, but we would actually like to put in the bill that they would, the Department of Wildlife and Parks would present the Senate Ag and House Ag Committee a study on that by like January 31st, 2027.
I'm not certain I follow what you're saying, so we would go ahead and move forward with the legislation, but as a part of the legislation with the change, we're asking the department to report to the standing committees what the economic impact of this change has been. And it would be still a 3-year sunset. Mr. Heim has his finger in the air. He has a question, I'm going to guess, or a comment.
Well, if I understand what is being suggested, it would, I think, be a new section of the law, basically, that would require the Wildlife and Parks to conduct a study, and you can call it economic impact study or whatever, but about the impact of the limitation on out-of-state hunters, I assume is what you're after, so. And the time frame for that, we can put whatever you want in there, so.
The reason I kind of steered away from just strictly the economic impact, but the overall impact, the impact of the bird's health, the impact of the number of stamps we sold, where the in-state, out-of-state, kind of where everything kind of falls. It's just got to be a concise report of the what has happened over the last couple seasons, and give them opportunity to put some data together over the remaining 25 and throughout the 26 year, and then present that to the legislature by the end of January. So at that time, we can discuss and talk about taking steps further, or addressing the sunset that's on it, or take next steps after we kind of have a feel for what the impact of that was.
Okay, Senator Ware has a question.
I think it'd be a great idea to have that information. I'm wondering if Wildlife and Parks is equipped to get us all of those parts. You know, the how many stamps, that's easy. But some of the economic impact stuff might be pretty far outside their wheelhouse. I'm not sure, but that's my guess.
That's why I was trying to get away from actually calling it an economic impact study. I just was trying to, things that were within their purview to notice that has made an impact from this bill was what I would want reported on. I wouldn't want them to try to reinvent the wheel or try to move in on another department's territory as far as pulling those numbers, but they're pretty resourceful people. They might surprise you on what they can get access to.
We're asking the Department of Wildlife and Parks to give us information on the number of waterfowl stamps sold to out-of-staters, maybe the number of travelers who stay in our public land cabins. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I want to make certain I understand. Also, I want to make certain that our staff understands what we're looking for. If we're not looking for an economic impact, in essence, it would give us an idea if it's impacted the economy, but it wouldn't necessarily have dollars with it as such. So is staff something that you could put something together for us that would fit, if you understand the House offer, and then we'll talk about it. If you understand the House offer, then we'll discuss it over here to see if we think that is something we're willing to put in.
It's up to you all to determine how specific you want to be in directing the Department of Wildlife and Parks to conduct this report. So if there are specific things that you would like to see, I recommend that you go ahead and include those. If you are fine being more generic, then that's fine too. You just need to tell us.
So I guess what I'm trying to avoid the Wildlife and Parks from doing a full-on economic impact. Those resources to do that are probably, I mean, I'm sure that they have the resources, but it would consume a lot of resources probably for that. But I'm looking more of a data-driven, as far as the things that they traditionally track anyway, that they traditionally track, and all the information that they can collect and track, whatever that information would be. I don't do a lot of hunting migratory bills, so I'm not sure what all kind of data they collect, but some people out there may know, but not I.
So if I may, from the staff, we could make it fairly generic and just leave it up to Wildlife and Parks to make a report on this topic? Is that what you're saying? Is that what your intent, Mr. Chairman?
We're good with that, yes. So, Mr. Chairman, if it helps your process, I was just kind of informed that the department tracks all kinds of data. So there's data cards that hunters have to fill out in certain areas and what they do. The Fish Department, Wildlife and Fish Department, they track different things. So they have an immense amount of data when it comes to in-state, out-of-state, number of their the bag limits and stuff, how what they've harvested. Other parts of it track hotel, motel stays, travelers, where they're from, how far they've come. I mean, just all kinds of data. There's a ton of data there that they already collect. That wouldn't be too much of an imposition at all on them because they already collect all that data. They would just put it in a report form and send it to us.
So the report would be due January of '26 or January of '27? I would kind of like, I think this is something that we're going to agree to. I would not be opposed to them making a report in 26 and 27, because 26 will give us a preliminary as to where things are headed. 27 will have a full year with this, if this passes the legislature.
We'll let you continue talking about that, but we like that idea.
Okay. Well, then I think we're good with that. If Wildlife and Parks already has all that, we're not asking them to do much other than just report to us. Okay.
And ask them to reinvent the wheel. Tamara, could you clarify that? What we just, all that word salad we just did?
My understanding of what the conference committee has agreed to is on section 2 of the bill relating to the kids lifetime combination hunting and fishing license is there would again be 2 categories. The first category would be 5 years of age and younger, and that would be $300 for that license. The second category would be ages 6 to 15 and $400 for that license. The other agreement that I noted was a study to be done by the Department of Wildlife and Parks on the migratory waterfowl hunting, and that report would be due both January 31 of 2026 and another report January 31, 2027. Where I am unclear is if there was an agreement on the sunset of 3 years.
We're still, yes, we'd agreed to a sunset of 3 years on that section.
Perfect. So then the last provision is the 3-year sunset on section 3, that is KSA 32939, and that would be the changes in this bill that are specific to the limited days for non-resident hunters.
What would be specifically the sunset date? You said 3 years, but would it be 3 years from when it becomes July 1, 2025, so it would be July 1, 2028?
That's a great question. This bill takes effect upon Kansas Register. We do not know what that date would be, but typically July 1 is the sunset date that we go with.
Would it be cleaner if we changed the effective date? Okay. I kind of like the July 1, 2028 sunset. That way, in the 2028 session, the legislature will need to either address the issue or this just expires. Apparently, 2013 was originally, I'm going to guess, upon publication in Register, because I contacted the revisor's office and I said I would like to have 213 as it passed the Senate. And the amendment I got, I don't know who wrote it, but
213 is statute book. This
and so
2028 is register.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. So I would think we want to, for the first part of it, be register, so we can get back to these seniors having the privilege of purchasing tags or hunting licenses.
We 100% agree with that.
That's the current law. Okay. So the sunset date then would be, Mr. Chairman, July the 1st, 2028?
Correct.
Okay.
The sunset doesn't have to match the publication in the register. It would make more sense to July 1 or January 1 or something like that. So July 1 is, if that satisfies everybody, we can do that.
Is there anything additional, Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry?
Anything additional from the House?
No, sir. That's it.
Okay, I think we're good to go.
Cool. We have an agreement on that. Anything else I need to do? That's going to be?
You need to adjourn us or we'll just walk out.
We are adjourned. Thank you, senators.